Another sutta is 3.3.26. Monks, these three persons are found existing in the world. What three? There is a person who is not to be followed, not to be served, not to be honored. Then there is a person who should be followed, served and honored. And then there is the one who is to be followed, served and honored with worship and reverence. Now of what sort, monks, is the one who is not to be followed? In this case, a certain person is inferior to oneself in moral conduct, concentration and wisdom. I mean sila, samadhi and panya. Such a one, monks, is not to be followed, served or honored, except out of consideration, out of compassion for him. And of what sort, monks, is the one who should be followed? In this case, a certain one is like oneself in moral conduct, concentration and wisdom. Such a one should be followed, served and honored. Why? With this idea, as we are both proficient in moral conduct, our talk will be of morality, and it will continue to our profit, and that will be to our comfort. As we are both proficient in concentration, in wisdom, our talk will be of these subjects, and it will continue to our profit, and that will be to our comfort. Therefore, such a person should be followed, served and honored. And of what sort, monks, is the one who is to be followed, served and honored with worship and reverence? In this case, a certain person is superior to oneself in moral conduct, concentration and wisdom. Such a one should first be worshipped and revered, then followed, served and honored. Why so? With this idea, in this way I shall complete the sum total of morality not yet complete, or by wisdom I shall supplement it here and there when it is complete, or I shall complete the sum total of my concentration not yet complete, or I shall supplement it by wisdom or insight here and there when it is complete, or again I shall complete the sum total of my wisdom not yet complete, or when complete I shall supplement it here and there by insight. Therefore, such a person should be followed, served and honored with worship and reverence. These monks are the three persons found existing in the world. Now here the Buddha is talking about three persons. One is inferior to you in the three things, sila, samadhi and panya. And this kind of person is to be avoided. Unless you have compassion for that person, you want to help that person. The second type of person who should be followed and whom you should keep company is somebody who is of the same standard with you in sila, samadhi and panya. This type of person you can keep company like a spiritual friend, a friend in the Dhamma. The third one is one whom you should follow and also revere. That is somebody who is superior to you in sila, samadhi and panya, because he can teach you to improve, to complete your sila, samadhi and panya. So that kind of person who can be your teacher, whom you can learn from, you should follow him and serve him. So if you want to find a teacher, that's the kind of teacher you ought to look for, one who is superior to you in sila, samadhi and panya. The next sutta is 3.3.30. Monks, there are these three persons found existing in the world. What three? The topsy-turvy brained, the scatter-brained, and the man of comprehensive brain. Of what sort, monks, is the topsy-turvy brained? Herein a certain person frequents the monastery to hear Dhamma from the lips of the monks. The monks teach him Dhamma that is lovely in the beginning, lovely in the middle, lovely in the end, both in spirit and in letter. They make plain the holy life perfectly fulfilled in all its purity. But as he sits there, he pays no heed to that talk in its beginning, pays no heed to its middle, pays no heed to its end. Also when he has risen from his seat, he pays no heed thereto. Just as when a pot is turned upside down, the water poured thereon runs off and does not stay in the pot. Even so, in this case, a certain person frequents the monastery but pays no heed to that talk. Also when he rises from his seat, he pays no heed thereto. This one is called the topsy-turvy brain. And of what sort, monks, is the scatter-brained? In this case, a certain person frequents the monastery. As he sits, he pays heed to that talk in its beginning, its middle, and its end. But when he has risen up from his seat, he pays no heed thereto, just as when in a man's lap diverse kinds of food are piled together, such as sesamum, rice, sweetmeats, and jujube fruits. When he rises from his seat, he scatters all abroad through absent-mindedness. Even so, monks, in this case, a certain person frequents the monastery, but when he has risen from his seat, he pays no heed thereto. This one is called the scatter-brained. And of what sort, monks, is the man of comprehensive mind? In this case, a certain person frequents the monastery to hear Dhamma from the lips of the monks. They teach him Dhamma that is lovely in the beginning, lovely in the middle, lovely in the end, both in its spirit and its letter. They make plain the holy life perfectly fulfilled in all its purity. As he sits there, he pays heed to that talk in its beginning. He pays heed to that talk in its middle. He pays heed to its ending. Also, when he rises from his seat, he still bears it in mind. Just as when a pot is set upright, the water poured therein accumulates and does not run away. Even so, in this case, a person frequents the monastery and pays heed to that talk. Also, when he rises from his seat, he bears it in mind, in its beginning, in its middle, and in its ending. This one, monks, is called the man of comprehensive mind. Such monks are the three persons found existing in the world. I think this sutta is quite plain. You can understand. The topsy-turvy brain person, he doesn't pay attention. His mind is so scattered. When he's sitting there listening to the talk, he cannot concentrate on the talk. Then when he gets up, after he leaves the monastery, also he's forgotten what the talk was all about. The second one, he pays attention when the talk is going on, but when he goes back, he does not reflect on the talk. It's all like going in one ear and gone out the other. He's forgotten about what was taught instead of reflecting on it. The third one is he pays attention to it when the talk is delivered, and even after the talk, he goes back, he still reflects it in his mind and he remembers what was heard. So you all can examine yourselves and see which category you fall into. Now 3.4.31. Monks, those families where mother and father are worshipped in the home are reckoned like unto Brahma. Those families where mother and father are worshipped in the home are ranked with the teachers of old. Worthy of offerings, monks, are those families where mother and father are worshipped in the home. Brahma, monks, is a term for mother and father. Teachers of old, monks, is a term for mother and father. Worthy of offerings, monks, is a term for mother and father. Why so? Because mother and father do much for children. They bring them up, nourish and introduce them to the world. This is another sutta where the Buddha is teaching us to have a lot of love and respect for our parents because we owe a lot to them. If we have a lot of respect and love for our parents, then even the devas have respect for us. 3.4.34. Thus have I heard. On a certain occasion, the Exalted One was staying near Alavi at Cow Path in Singsapa Grove, lodging on the leaf-strewn ground. Now Hataka of Alavi was wandering there afoot, and as he went along, he saw the Exalted One in that place, seated on the ground, strewn with leaves. On seeing him, he approached, and saluting him, sat down at one side. So seated, Hataka of Alavi said this to the Exalted One: "Pray, sir, does the Exalted One live happily?" And the Buddha replied, "Yes, my lad, I live happily. I am one of those who live happily in the world." And then Hataka said, "But sir, the winter nights are cold. The dark half of the month is the time of snowfall. Hard is the ground trampled by the hoofs of cattle, thin the carpet of fallen leaves. Sparse are the leaves of the tree, cold are the saffron robes, and cold the gale of wind that blows. Then the Exalted One said, Still, my lad, I live happily. Of those who live happily in the world, I am one. Now, my lad, I will question you about this, and do you reply as you think fit. What think you, my lad? Suppose a house father or house father's son has a house with a gabled roof, plastered inside and out, with well-fitting doors and casements. Therein is a couch spread with long fleeced woolen rug, a bedspread of white wool, a coverlet embroidered with flowers, spread with a costly skin of antelope, having a canopy overhead and a scarlet cushion at each end. Here is a lamp burning, and 4 wives to wait upon him with all their charms. Now what think you, my lad? Would he live happily or not? What do you think? And he replied, Yes, he would, sir. He is one of those who live happily in the world. And the Buddha said, Well now, my lad, what do you think? Would there not arise in that house father or house father's son torments of body or of mind that are born of passion, raga, so that tortured by them he would live unhappily? And he replied, They would arise, sir. Buddha said, Well, my lad, as to those torments of body or of mind born of passion, tortured by which he would live unhappily, that passion has been abandoned by the Tathagata, cut off at the root, made like a palm tree stump, made unable to become again, of a nature not to arise again in future. That is why I live happily. Again, would there not arise torments of body or of mind, born of hatred, dosa, so that tortured by them he would live unhappily? And he replied, They would arise, sir. The Buddha said, Well, my lad, as to those torments, that hatred has been abandoned by the Tathagata. That is why I live happily. Again, would there not arise torments of body or of mind, born of delusion, moha, so that tortured by them he would live unhappily? They would arise, sir. Well, my lad, as to those torments, etc., that delusion has been abandoned by the Tathagata. That is why I live happily. So that's the end of the sutta. So here in this sutta, the Buddha is living in the forest, staying on the ground, sitting on the ground, sleeping on the ground. And in India, they have winter nights, which are so cold. And yet the Buddha says he's happy because he's gotten rid of the 3 causes of unhappiness. That is passion, raga, hatred, dosa, and delusion, moha. These 3 things, sometimes in the sutta is mentioned not raga, dosa, and moha, but lobha, greed, lobha, dosa, and moha. Here, sometimes it's mentioned as raga, dosa, and moha. Raga is passion or lust, instead of lobha is greed. So that's why sometimes some people don't understand. They think, why does a person give up his worldly life, abandon comforts of the world, and become a renunciant, walking around bald-headed, begging for his food? Because, as it is plain here, even though a monk is not comfortable physically, but mentally he's much more comfortable than a lot of lay people. So his happiness is within, and the happiness that is within is of a deeper nature. It's a deeper happiness than the happiness of a lot of lay people. A lot of lay people, the happiness depends on external things, and it's so fragile. You love somebody, when that person says something nasty to you, and you get a heartache. Just you picture yourself to be of a certain, you want people to think you are such and such, you appear such and such. But when somebody criticizes you, your self-image seems to be shattered, and you get so unhappy. Because external things, if you depend on external things for your happiness, they are so fragile. If you depend on yourself, on your mind, then it is much more stable happiness. 3.4.35. The Buddha said, monks, there are these 3 Deva messengers. What 3? In this connection, a certain one lives an immoral life in deed, word and thought. So doing, when body breaks up after death, he is reborn in the waste, the woeful plains, the downfall in hell. Then monks, the warders of hell, seize him by both arms and bring him before Yama, the Lord, saying, Sire, this man had no respect for mother and father, recluses and Brahmins. He showed no respect to the elders of his clan. Let your majesty inflict due punishment on him. Then monks, Yama the Lord, examines him, closely questions him, and addresses him concerning the first Deva messenger, saying, Now, my good man, have you never seen the first Deva messenger manifest among men? And he replies, I have not seen him, sire. Then says King Yama to him, What? My good man, have you never seen any human being, a woman or a man, 80 or 90 or 100 years of age, broken down, bent inwards like the rafter of a roof, crooked, propped up with a cane, and trembling as he goes along, an ailing creature past his prime, with broken teeth, grey-haired or ballless or hairless, bald, with wrinkled brow, and limbs all blotched and spotted. Then the man says, Sire, I have seen. Then says Yama, Lord of Death, to him, My good man, did it never occur to you as a man of intelligence and fully grown? I too am subject to old age. I have not overpassed old age. Come, let me act nobly in deed, word and thought. Then the other says, No, sire, I could not. I was negligent. Then monks, Yama, Lord of Death, says to him, My good man, it was through negligence that you did not act nobly in deed, word and thought. Truthfully, they shall do unto you in accordance with your negligence. That evil action of yours was not done by mother, father, brother, sister, friends and comrades, not by kinsmen, devas, recluses and Brahmins. By yourself alone was it done. It is just you that will experience the fruit thereof. Then monks, Yama, Lord of Death, having examined him, closely questioned and addressed him concerning the first Deva messenger, does likewise concerning the second Deva messenger, saying, My good man, have you never seen the second Deva messenger manifest among men? And he replies, I have never seen him, sire. Then says Yama, Lord of Death, to him, What? My good man, have you never seen among human beings a woman or a man, sick, afflicted, suffering from a sore disease, lie wallowing in his own filth? There is excrement. By some lifted up, by others put to bed. And he says, Sire, I have seen. Then King Yama says, Then, my good man, did it never occur to you as a man of intelligence and fully grown? I too am subject to disease. I have not overpassed disease. Come, let me act nobly in deed, word and thought. Time's up. No. Then says he, Sire, I could not, I was negligent. Then says Yama, Lord of Death, to him, My good man, it was through negligence that you did not act nobly in deed, word and thought. Verily they shall do unto you according to your negligence. That evil action of yours was not done by mother, father, brother, sister, friends and comrades, etc. By yourself alone was it done. It is just you that will experience the fruit thereof. Thereupon monks, Yama, Lord of Death, having examined him closely concerning the second Deva messenger, does likewise concerning the third Deva messenger, saying, My good man, have you never seen among human beings a woman or a man, a corpse, 1, 2 or 3 days dead, swollen, black and blue and festering? And he replies, Sire, I have seen. And King Yama says, Then, my good man, did it never occur to you as a man of intelligence and fully grown? I too am subject to death. I have not overpassed death. Come, let me act nobly in deed, word and thought. Then says he, Sire, I could not, I was negligent. And Yama, Lord of Death, says to him, My good man, it was true negligence that you did not act nobly in deed, word and thought. Verily they shall do unto you according to your negligence. That evil action of yours was not done by mother, father, etc., etc. By yourself alone was it done. It is just you that will experience the fruit thereof. Then monks, having examined him closely concerning the third Deva messenger, Yama, Lord of Death, is silent. Thereupon monks, the warders of hell, torture him with a fivefold pinion. They drive a hot iron pin through each hand and foot, and a fifth through the middle of his breast. Thereat he suffers grievous, violent, sharp and bitter agonies. But he makes not an end until that evil deed of his has been worked out. Then the warders of hell lay him down and plane him down with adzes. Thereat he suffers bitter agonies till that evil deed of his has been worked out. Next they place him with feet up and head down and plane him with razors. Then they bind him to a chariot and drive him up and down over a blazing ground, flaming and all aglow. Thereat he suffers bitter, grievous, violent, sharp and bitter agonies. Then they push him up and down a huge burning mountain of red-hot coal, blazing, flaming and all aglow. And he suffers again grievous, violent, sharp and bitter agonies. But he makes not an end until that evil deed of his has been worked out. Then they take him, feet up and head down, and plunge him into a burning brazen cauldron, blazing, flaming and all aglow. There he is cooked and rises to the surface with the scum. So doing, once he comes up, and once he goes down, and once he goes across. Thereat he suffers agonies, grievous, violent, sharp and bitter. Yet he makes not an end until that evil deed of his has been worked out. Thereupon monks, the warders of hell, toss him into the great hell. Now monks, this great hell is described thus. 4 square the great hell standeth, with 4 gates, divided and partitioned, with a wall of iron girt. Of iron is the roof, its floor of iron too, dazzling and hot, and flashing all around 100 leagues, stands fast forever immovable. Once upon a time monks, Yama, Lord of Death, thought thus to himself, True it is, I think, that they who in the world do evil deeds in diverse ways thus suffer retribution. Oh, if only I could win birth as a human being. If only a Tathagata were born into the world, an Arahant who is a fully enlightened one. If only I might sit at the feet of that exalted one, and then that exalted one would teach me Dhamma, and then I might learn Dhamma from the exalted one. Now monks, I say this not hearing it from some recluse or Brahmins. Nay, but what I myself have known and seen and heard, that do I declare unto you. So this is also quite interesting sutta, where we talk about King Yama, Yen Lo Wang, Yam Lo Ong. It appears from the suttas that there are many hells. Hell is like a region, and each region of hell, each great hell, there is a king, and that king is called King Yama. So of the various hells, there are various King Yamas. And the King Yama is addressed as Deva by the hell beings, because he is in a much better condition than the other hell beings. So they call him Deva. So when they mention here the 3 Deva messengers, it might either be the 3 heavenly messengers or the 3 messengers from hell. And you can see from here the type of suffering that a person undergoes in hell. There are some other suttas which also mention something like this, but even worse, where they suffer from one hell. They suffer all kinds of tortures, and then they are like a fugitive, trying to run away, because when they are caught, they are tortured by these beings in hell. So they are running, trying to avoid these beings in hell, running, And once in a long while, the gates of that hell will open. Once in a long while. And when it opens, it only opens for a short time. And they rush out. And some of them manage to rush out. Some of them are unable to rush out. And after they rush out, they think that they've got out of hell. But what happens is that they've fallen into another hell. Another different kind of hell. And they suffer again. Again like a fugitive, running, and being tortured and all that. And once in a blue moon, again the gates of that hell open, and some of them rush out again. And then they fall into another hell. Might be they fall into a hell now, which is like a river. And that river is like acid. They are burned in that river. And then they keep going from one hell to another. And then finally they come back to the hell where they started. So you see, they undergo both physical torture as well as mental torture. So you can imagine if any kind of, you can't find any worse suffering than to be in that hell. And the great hell here is described as being with an iron roof, an iron floor, and so hot, and you can't run out from that place. It's like an oven. And this King Yama, even he, the Buddha says, makes a wish that one day he can be reborn as a human being, so that he can hear the Dhamma, the Buddha's Dhamma, and so that he can get out of samsara. So now we are at this point where we are able to hear the Dhamma. Maybe previously, the Buddha said, most of us, or practically all of us, have been through samsara for an extremely long time, and most of the rebirths we have gone through. Maybe at one time we were King Yama also. Maybe at one time we also wished that one day we get birth as a human being and we might hear the Dhamma. So now we are at this stage where we are able to hear the Dhamma. We should not let the chance go off lightly. We should take the trouble to really understand the Dhamma and practice so that we can get out of hell and never fall into these woeful plains again. Probably many times we have already fallen into the woeful plains. I think some of us, you can see that in our dreams, we have been to certain places like hell. So the fact that it can come up in our dreams, maybe it is from our memory in our past life. We have been in such places. 3.4.36 Monks, on the 8th day of the lunar half-month, the ministers who are counselors of the 4 great kings circumambulate this world to see whether many folk among men pay reverence to mother and father, to recluses and Brahmins, and show deference to the elders of the clan, observe the Sabbath or Uposatha, keep the vigil and do good works. On the 14th day of the lunar half-month, the sons of the 4 great kings circumambulate this world to see whether many folk pay reverence to mother and father, to recluses and Brahmins, and show deference to the elders of the clan, observe the Sabbath, keep the vigil and do good works. On the 15th day, which is the Sabbath, the 4 great kings in person circumambulate this world to see whether many folk pay reverence to mother and father, to recluses and Brahmins, and show deference to the elders of the clan, observe the Sabbath, keep the vigil and do good works. Now monks, if you be among those men who do these things, the 4 great kings report the matter to the Devas of the 33 Tavatimsa heaven, as they sit in conclave in the hall of righteousness, saying, My good lords, few among men are they who pay reverence to mother and father, etc., and do good works. Then monks, the Devas of the 33 are displeased and say, Surely, sirs, the Deva host will diminish and the Asura host will increase. But monks, if many are they among men who pay reverence to mother and father, to recluses and Brahmins, who show deference to the elders of the clan, who observe the Sabbath, keep the vigil and do good works, then the 4 great kings report the matter to the Devas of the 33, saying, Good, my lords, many are they among men who pay reverence to mother and father, etc. Thereat monks, the Devas of the 33 are glad and say, Surely, sirs, the Deva host will increase and the Asura host will decrease. This is another quite interesting sutta, which tells us that there are Devas who go around the world and observe us, and we are not aware of it. Just like when we observe ants, the ants are so small. We look from the top, we see what they are doing, but they don't know. They can't see us because their field of vision is so limited, so near. So in the same way, our field of vision, what we can see is so limited unless we develop psychic power. So the devas might be looking at us. We look up into the sky, but we can't see them. When they talk about the lunar half month, it's because in India, the calendar is not monthly, like 30 days like us, It is fortnightly. And the fortnight can either be 14 days or can be 15 days. So, on the 8th day, we Cantonese, which is Chopat, 8th day of the lunar month, 15, and then the 23rd day, and the 30th day, or the 29th day. That is our Theravada tradition, is the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, not the 1st, the 8th, the 8th, then the 15th, the 23rd, and the 30th or 29th. Now this last day, 29th or 30th, for the Mahayana, they have made it a bit different. They made it the first of the lunar month. That's why in our Theravada tradition, we either recite the precepts on the Patimokkha, on the 15th lunar day, or the 29th or 30th. Whereas in Chinese, they always talk about Choyat. In Theravada, we don't talk about Choyat. We start with Chopat, the 8th day.